You are listening to Cosmic Communion.
So I'll just begin with sharing a little bit about my 41 placement. So I have 41.4 in my designer. So it's part of my incarnation cross.
Mhm.
And it's an Aquarius gate. And of all of the gates in my chart, it's definitely the one that I've contemplated the most.
Mhm.
It's a theme that continues to show up in my life constantly and also show up in the fractal around me.
Mhm.
Specifically, 41.4. So many people on our fractal have that specific gate with that specific line.
Mhm.
And so, 41, for those who don't know from the human design perspective, it's called decrease, the gate of contraction. In the fourth line, successful adaptation to limitation, survival of
Mm.
the fittest, and its eventual flourishing.
Yeah.
So, this is the thread of my life, it feels like. So, 41 creates this constant pressure to evolve.
Mhm.
It's connected to the adrenals, um, which is why I've had adrenal fatigue like my whole life.
Yep.
Was reading the Gene Keys again for the 600th time last night, and specifically the one of the reactive natures is hyperactivity. I was actually diagnosed with ADHD when I was a kid. And
Interesting.
all of those threads were just kind of coming together. So it's like this constant pressure to dream a new world into being so we can evolve, so we can survive here.
Mhm.
And after noticing just how many people in my life were coming in with 41.4 specifically,
Mhm.
I don't even know how I came to find this information, but I learned that in 2027, January 2027, Pluto will be in 41.4.
Wow. There's some like crazy cosmic alignments coming up in the next few years.
Yeah.
And right now too, specifically.
And so think about
Wow.
41, it's associated with the start codon in our DNA. So literally every biological process that happens in our body starts with 41.
Yep.
It's where everything emanates from, where everything comes from, and everything returns to. Richard Rudd is like, it's literally nothing less than a black hole. It is the
I
void.
it's also I'm thinking about how its gift is anticipation. And so, like, that being anticipation being the beginning of life, like, oh, I feel something. And like back to this black hole, it's like where it all began, the Big Bang, like all these theories of like the beginning was there in all of those stories, there's an anticipation of something greater happening that splits and cracks our universe into being. And 41.4 specifically, we're moving from the personal line expression into transpersonal. And
Whoa.
so there's an external orientation there um, in the 41 experience. So it's um, less of this energy of anticipation that's inward and more of this anticipation that's facing outwards towards the transpersonal world. Me versus them, not me inside myself. And it's not me versus them, it's me with them. How am I anticipating my beingness alongside my fractal or alongside my loved ones or like whatever external reality we're orienting towards? Those were just a few things that were like,
Whoa.
yeah, that I was thinking.
And the fourth line, because think about it, survival of the fittest and its
Mhm.
eventual flourishing. So this has
Mhm.
been my through line since finding human design
Mhm.
is that we, through aligning with the Tao, aligning with our design, right? Living as ourselves, this is how we not only survive in this shift that we're moving through, but thrive.
Mhm.
And so,
And it begins with decrease.
yeah, it begins with decrease, but also something that was coming forward when you were saying the transition into the transpersonal, like the fourth line of all the six lines is also like you could argue that's like the tribal line,
It's the tribal line. Yeah.
you know?
I
And
I I
so,
wouldn't argue it, I would say that, yep. 4th,
yeah.
everywhere I see it, everywhere I see the 4, I'm like, "It's interconnected tribe in with the people." Except
And
not.
my whole life I've felt this, I have desire motivation, and so I've felt this desire and even call to like, oh, I'm here to like literally save the world, my savior complex stuff in there as well.
Yeah.
Um
Sprinkle a little savior complex over it all for all of us.
um and I think through the humbling process of yeah, just being in my process, my human design experiment, my spiritual awakening, whatever you want to call it, um I've come to accept I can't save the world, and save is not even the right word, but I can lay the foundation for my fractal, my tribe, my people to survive and thrive in this coming age.
The I feel like we're going to be talking about this a lot in Aquarius season is like just collective circuitry in general and how there's kind of a highlight on orientation. That's a word that keeps coming through when I think about Aquarius season and collective circuitry. And specifically in the 41, this is about ourselves. So it's an energy, specifically, you're talking about it for you, that is, but it's, that there's an orientation inside of you for that root pressure energy. Ra talks about, and I say this every time I talk about the root, but mm, like one of the gifts that he gave us talking about the root was it's pure energy. That was his keynote. It was just at the beginning it was just it's energy. It's life force. And so in 41 this is the anticipation of life force moving towards the spirit, towards truth, towards connectivity, like it's, and it is very tribal. And so I feel like we get kind of confused in human design because am I looking at me or am I looking at them? Oh, wait, no, don't look at them anymore. You need to focus on yourself. But there is a real conversation about, well, I know that my energy from inside of me, the way that I move and emanate and express from myself is oriented outward. It is tribal. It is about them. And so that is also about you.
Yeah. And being so just like interrelational, like everything about
Mhm.
me is about others.
Yeah.
And it's been such a journey
Mhm.
finding myself and balancing that with how much how deeply interdependent I am.
Mhm.
Being tribal, being a fourth line, being born under the cross of duality, purpose fulfilled through bonding, being a
Mhm.
projector.
Mhm.
Um, and it's a constant kind of like toggle.
Mhm.
Whereas, like, I think when I first found human design, I was surrounded by so many pure individuals. And so that, like, individuality and kind of like enlightened selfishness, as Ra calls it, really was like allowed to come forward. And
Mhm.
then I've been going through this, over year long kind of ego death process that I'm just emerging from now. And, the big message during that was like, stop centering yourself, Like, you will find success through elevating your tribe, through
Mm,
supporting your tribe and your community. That's how you will find success. Your success is interdependent with your people.
yeah. I I was thinking about while I was listening to you talk how 41.4 is your earth placement. And this is like not I think about this a lot because this is not like something that you're going to see on like your astrological wheel, this placement. And how it's literally like the body. Like it's literally like your like 41.4 is like and or just design earth in general is like literally your form where the earth was or like the impact of the earth upon your form when you were I guess that's like the 88 degrees before you were born. But there's just something there to that where like the design sun is this solar energy of us that we give off into the world. The the design earth is like more just here. It's like in the impact of who we are. I don't know if that's bringing up anything for you. I'm like, there's something I wanna say around that.
I have contemplated this a lot. It feels like arguably the design earth is the most central piece of who we are.
Mhm. Yeah. It's like the way to get to the core of the
It's
Earth's crust, you know, like, it's, like,
the
beyond the
and the
crust of
core
the
of the
Earth.
body, right?
Yeah, the core of the body, yeah.
Um, the journey of the human design experiment is to get to the personality to surrender to the body, right? And so
Mhm.
when you were saying that, I was like, the design sun is the like expression of the light,
Mhm.
whereas the design earth feels very much like the material of the body.
Yeah, like, where it comes from, where it
And that
originates.
needs to be like healthy. That
Mm,
expression of the design earth needs to be healthy in order for that design sun to shine.
mhm. Yep.
That's kind of
To
what it feels
radiate.
like, to
Yeah.
radiate.
Yeah.
Um, and for
Wow.
me, pick the plague. Yeah, that being decrease, that being
Yeah.
death, right? It's like
Yeah.
surrendering to, because, okay, like what does decrease really mean? The way that I experience 41 is this falling back into the void, away from attachments to the material
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
And so it's like I'm falling back in a way and I'm forced to let go.
Mm.
And it's not even just the material world. A lot of it, right? The shadow of 41 is fantasy. So a lot of it is like letting go of the dreams, letting go of the visions, letting go of the fantasies, and trusting that when it's time to come back, whatever visions were right for me to bring through will come back around in a new form.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know that you have witnessed me on my like sometimes like totally delusional ego trips with these visions, right? This was something else when I was rereading 41 last night. Okay, I kind of want to read this.
Yeah, read it.
Um the reactive nature of 41 hyperactive. These people are always ahead of themselves, being absolutely carried away on the fuel of their dreams. This kind of nature inevitably leads to burnout as the power of the fantasy they are trying to bring into the world outstrips the limitations of the material plane. Their insatiable hunger drives them into deeper and deeper problems while placing enormous pressure on their nervous system. The hope for these people pivots upon their ability to allow others into their inner life and relinquish their one pointed obsession with manifesting their dream exactly as it appears inside their minds. So I'd love,
Mm.
with that context, I'd love to hear from you, like how you've seen that play out not only in my life, but you've been so deeply a part of this process, right?
Yeah. Hmm. So, like, there's a dream, and so it can at times, like, scatter the dream into kind of all of these different, like, threads that might be. So then there's, like yeah, there's, like, 2 ways that it happens. Either, like, a pigeonholing, this is the only thing that this is the dream. This is what it's gonna look like. This is how it's gonna take place, and so all of this, like, adrenalized energy gets really pigeonholed and focused to make that happen. And it's not like seeing the opportunities around it. And then that because you've spent all your energy on one dream and the way that it needed to look, should look, all these, like that's what it is. It's like once the energy kind of crashes, then I can't see all of this. Like that's no longer present.
Mhm.
But the beauty of that, even something that I like want to share here that I think is really cool is that even the shadows, like even a more shadowy expression of something like the fantasy, right? Like having this dream and this fantasy also serves as this gift in other people's lives of like someone who has like the fortitude and just confidence and like this is what's going to happen to continue to like make it happen. Like these are people I feel like I've seen this in you and I think that this is also just a 41 attribute is like these are people who are always going to make you dream bigger than you've imagined. They could in their own life be like just really pigeonholing one dream and like screwing themselves out of opportunities left and right, but they're also like this embodiment of like, no, there's something more. And I'm
Yeah.
not touching it and it's not here and I have to. So just like the human fire to get to that place is like regardless of like what level you're seeing it at, it's just a beautiful energy to be around in general, in my opinion. And
Yeah,
like
thanks for saying that. Um, and that feels really true. Even
mhm,
like, before entering the spiritual world or human design or anything, I've always done that for people. I've always
yeah.
challenged people to dream bigger
Mhm.
and expand. The really the way that I see the gift of 41 is that it helps people expand their perception of what's possible.
Yes. Yes.
And, um, right now, there's just like that feels so incredibly important, right? Like we're just
Mhm.
living in a time with like so much in we're living in a time of crisis, right? Crisis at every level, death at every level. And in the Gene Keys, Richard Rudd talks about how every work of genius comes from the 41st gene key. And it doesn't mean that you have to have that center defined in your chart to access that, right? We're all
Yeah.
64 gates, gene keys. But the way that he explains it is this ability to tap into the morphogenetic field, which is this field of information that we exist in that is
Mhm.
beyond time and space. And so
Mhm.
the way that I have experienced this field is like this ability to literally like pull in a future timeline into the present, and that being
Yeah.
my design earth placement, it feels like
Mhm.
I'm here to like ground this dream through my body so it can manifest in this material plane in this timeline. And so
Mhm.
that's what it feels like I'm constantly doing is
Yeah,
pulling the future into the now.
totally.
And right, this is an Aquarius gate.
And that's Aquarius, yeah. These, like, future dwellers. Yeah.
Like literally I am here from the future. That's what 41 is.
Mhm.
That's what Aquarius is.
Yep.
Um And through the conversations we've been having about Aquarius season in regards to like heavenly bodies, I've been realizing actually like how Aquarian I am. Even though in
Yeah.
my like astrology chart on the personality side I have Saturn in Aquarius, but this design earth is an Aquarius and then my design Saturn is also an Aquarius. And it's
Yeah.
squaring my whole Scorpio stellium where I have my sun, moon, Mercury,
Yeah.
and Pluto.
Oh man, there's so many different layers there because I think it's really just impactful that this is the first full gate inside of Aquarius season, which begins. I want to kind of open up the conversation to this like level of decrease because there's like a paradox that's existing there. Is that like 41 is reaching towards something else, like something that could be, but in its desire to experience a different timeline or a different reality, there's a decrease that's happening. And I think it's like something I actually don't fully understand about 41. Um, but I think it's very profound that like this is the beginning of the New Year. Is that correct? The rave New Year. And that it all begins in decrease. And there's something that I always circulate around that I still don't fully understand that Aquarius, I think, teaches us really well, which is like there's an imbalance in the way that we see abundance and material wealth and money. There's just an incongruency with like the spirit. And Aquarius is moving towards the spirit. It's moving towards truth. And so 41 also teaches us that abundance is something different. It's not like having all these fine, lovely things around you. It could be that, but like it's actually like the necessities. It sees
Mhm.
like the necessities as I don't know. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like and that is the decrease. It's like I don't know if I
So
can.
I don't resonate with a lot of Ra's descriptions in the Ravi Ching, but I do resonate with 41, which I gave the description for 41.4, but I didn't give it for 41. So in
Mhm.
the Ravi Ching, he calls it the limitation of resources maximizes the development of potential.
Yes.
And I do feel like that really captures that paradox there.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the image that always comes to mind with 41 is like if your hands are full, you can't receive.
Yes. Yes.
41 is the empty cup.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
And so in our culture, we are really uncomfortable with emptiness.
Yes. Yep.
We live in a society that is constantly conditioning us
Yep.
to consume, to be full, to have our house filled with stuff.
Yep.
And when we're living in that way where all of the space is filled, there's no space for abundance to come in.
Yes. Yep.
And this has been a huge theme in my life. I grew up with a mother who was a hoarder. There was the space was constantly filled. She was constantly trying to fill that void inside of her with stuff. And so I've been on this journey of unraveling that conditioning that is constantly um compelling me to consume
Mm.
more than I actually need to survive, right? Because at the base level, 41 is about survival.
Mhm.
It's the pressure
Yeah.
to evolve so we can survive.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that
Yep. Yep.
feels like so core to who I am and my work is like I'm very survival oriented. I'm like, "Okay, guys, like, look at what's happening out in the world, like, we need to, like, get to work so we can not only survive, but thrive," right? That's that medicine of 41.4 specifically. And if we're constantly holding on to stuff that is old, right, that is outdated, we're not able to evolve. Because the process of evolution is that, like, letting go so the new energy can come in. So we can pull in those future timelines where we found the solutions to the problems
Yeah.
that face humanity.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, that process of emptying has
Yeah.
been everything for me, you know, and it feels very related to the process of death.
Yeah.
How can I let what I'm clinging on to die so I can have space for whatever wants to grow in its place to come
Mhm.
through? And so, I don't know, I think it's interesting that, like, in the astrology chart, Scorpio and Aquarius are squaring each other.
Like
That relationship between Scorpio,
yeah,
Aquarius, Leo, and Taurus, right? Those are the 4 zodiac signs that make up
quadrants.
my
Yeah.
incarnation cross. And so, you know, if your sun is in any of those 4, then you have that same composition of zodiac signs in your cross.
Mhm.
And so just thinking about the relationships between these things, I think
Mhm. Yeah. Well, and even, like, what the square like, they're squared all the time, right? Like, s
yeah.
am I
Yep.
understanding that correctly?
Yeah.
I'm less versed on the astrology side of things, but, like, the tension that is always there in our calendar wheel between it's almost like it's a tension that is indicative of, like, the ability to engage with the energy, so the way that you died and, like, let go and surrendered to in Scorpio season is kind of indicative and qualitative of your Aquarius season.
Yeah.
Like, did you let go? Did you let go in Scorpio? Did you allow the process of death to unfold in your life? And then Aquarius season is gonna come and kind of provoke that. Well, now there's not space because you didn't die and let
Right.
go, and so we're gonna face you with all of this space that is not here for those greatest dreams and fantasies that you want to bring into your world.
Totally.
Yeah.
And think about it, like, the squares are creating the necessary tension for evolution,
Mhm. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There is no evolution, there is no growth without tension.
I do think that it is a very much a world building energy. Um, and I think that, we're contemplating this, like, beginning this series of talking about each of these 64 gene keys, gates, hexagrams, whatever you want to call them. Um, and they're enacting upon all of us in this seasonal transition. So 41, identifying kind of the lesson and the invitation inside of 41 is going to be this orientation back into your own life. This way of seeing, okay, how can I work with decrease? What does that mean for me? What is my relationship to Aquarius as a whole? What is my relationship to world building? What are the seeds of change that I want to plant right now? And so these are just a few of the questions that I think about when I think about Aquarius in general, and then specifically 41 and heavenly bodies. We are a heavenly body. We're a heavenly body, and that cosmic imprint is also enacting upon the world around you. You are living literally a living constellation of stars impacting reality around you. And so as the wheel moves on and we receive these invitations from the greater heavenly bodies, specifically the sun for this season, we can bridge the gap between our own awareness, our own impact into the world that's being activated by the seasons.
Because it is like that origination point, it feels
Yeah.
like it's a theme that we'll probably continue to loop back to, right? It's like
Yeah.
as we go through this process of, okay, we're in the decrease and now there's an increase, right? Which is 42, which is an Aries gate. What have we learned in that process of decrease and then the increase, the decrease and then the increase? And I think the final note that I have is this is actually how we attune with the natural cycles of life is through that like letting go. That's the attunement. That's the alignment that's able to come through and that's what creates more ease I think in life is through just like attuning to those cycles. And I know in this most recent season of heavenly bodies when we were talking about it in Capricorn season of the root being this like attunement to the season. Um and so, obviously Aquarius or 41 is in the root center, but it's an Aquarius gate. So, but it feels like that's still this theme that's really present
Mhm.
in that gate.
I think it's beautiful how they all kind of move in a wave together. Like the Capricorn invitational is very clearly just guiding straight into Aquarius, and I think that's like been the beautiful thing to see that we spent the season of Capricorn really like yeah, just like you said, attuning to the root center in general and Aquarius is a bridge between root center to solar plexus. So Pisces season is going to be all about the solar plexus, but here we're looking at collectivity, community, world building, communal tending. It's more of a orientation season of like, okay, well, let's start imagining the movement towards this truth. What does that mean? Like, I uncovered and unearthed the seeds inside of Capricorn season, but now which seeds do I want to plant? And how do I want to tend this garden that is growing? Also, how can I attune to what is there? Like, how can I get my ear close enough to the earth to feel when there's a viable, vital life force flowing through it versus me mentally placing my ideas of what is viable onto, like it's more of like that deep inner knowing versus the mental ego mind that says, here's what's going to happen, and really surrendering to what life has in store for us. Like, what is the growth that is taking place, and like just relinquishing and trusting. And one last note that I wanted to make while you were saying to what you were saying last is that 41 feels like it begins the new year. And I think it's something that we can return to all year round. Like, it is the start.
I think the energetic invitation with 41 is let it be your anchor. Let it anchor you into life. When the decrease comes, when the material things fall away or the relationships fall away, like let that mean something else, right? Not that we're
Yes.
losing something, but that actually we're creating space for that next template from the future, right? Our future self, our future life to come and find us.
I'm oh wow. I want to go back to the beginning of our conversations next year. I'm curious how close to 41 we were when we reconnected last year. And when my
Oh my god,
I
totally.
us reconnecting happened because a relationship bond was broken in my life, like a major friendship. Lost that friendship, and then you came back into my life pretty simultaneously. I think it was like a day or 2 later, you were like, "So, hey, what's up?"
Literally the
And
next day.
we're like literally the next day, and we started talking, and now we've been doing all of this work together, and now I'm like that was Aquarius season.
I actually think it was 41 because I'm
That's
remembering the
crazy.
dates now because I had just gotten back from Mexico when I met Luna.
Yes.
And what brought me to reach out to you was the dream.
Yes.
I
This
was
dream
like
that we've
I was like,
always
"This
shared.
is stupid that
Yes.
Cody and I are not talking because I know that Cody is a part of this dream.
Oh my gosh,
I'm gonna
chills.
go get
That's
that bitch and tell her
we're
all of
doing
this stuff was stupid. Let's put it down. Let's start fresh, right?" And that was the beginning of a
Yeah.
new relationship that we were able to have with each other because like
Oh my
part of
god.
the reason of the bond breaking was this like codependent stuff, which is another gate in Aquarius season, right? Gate
Yeah,
19, the
19.
shatter
Yep.
19 is codependence. Cody and I both have 19 in Saturn, so that's a, you know, a lesson that we're learning. But it really was the 41 dream that brought me back to you that like made me reach out that day and was like,
Oh
I
my
know that Cody is a
god.
part of this dream.
This
And
is
then it was a
insane.
whole new template of our friendship that was able to come through, right? It's like through releasing the old template of the relationship that was
Yeah.
woven with drama and
Trauma and codependence and
independence. Um, we were able to then come into this like ground in this new template of our friendship
yeah,
that feels regenerative and just like really fertile. Fertile is the word
fertile.
that's
And
coming forward.
I think that that is a part of this conversation with the, planting seed spaciousness is like what dies is is absorbed and creates the fertility of the soil to grow the new seeds that you're planting, you know? And so when we relinquish to this death process in our life, we're actually just giving more energy to the futures that we want to be inside of, that we want to feel a part of and become our reality. Oh my god, that really is blowing my mind right now that you're a 41. So right back to this, you're an impact, like you are an impact of 41 in other people's lives. Not only are we going to be transiting 41, but you are 41. And so that's like the beauty. And if you're listening to this and you have 41, you are also a 41 in whatever planetary kind of placement. There's like many nuances there, but to see that, yeah, the power of that in relationship, right? Like we belong to one another, not just you and I, but everybody on this planet. And we are not separate. So
Mm.
Aquarius is here to kind of teach us that this month. We are not separate.
We're not separate, and the way that we build this new world, the way that we ground these like future timelines and templates into this reality is through interdependence. It's through coming together as a collective, as a community, as a tribe to dream this new world into being together
Yep.
like nobody can do it individually. So,
Yeah. Wow. Beautiful. Happy Aquarius season, everyone.
happy Aquarius season.